Okay, we're going to look at solving systems of equations. We're going to look at two problems here. The first one is one where we're going to use elimination. And you can use elimination or substitution. However, elimination is usually one that is commonly used. And the way to use substitution is if you could get a variable by itself quickly, which would work pretty good on this bottom equation. But let's use elimination. So with elimination, we want to match up some of the variables. And I can see if I multiply the top equation by 2, then my y variables will have the same number but opposite signs. One common mistake people make is just with rewriting things. So be careful when you rewrite that you don't miss a negative sign or forget to multiply. Also, rewrite both equations. Don't just rewrite one of them, and that'll help you prevent some errors. And we can combine these or add them together, and that gives me 8x. These add to 0, which is something that we want, and then this gives me 32. I think we made it through the crash there. We'll see. So this gives me 32. And that means x is equal to 4. Okay, so once you have x, that's great. Now we can plug this back into our system. We can plug it in anywhere. Let's just use the second equation. So I have 2 times 4 minus 4y is equal to 4. And so that gives me 8 minus 4y is equal to 4. Which I can subtract 4 over, and that gives me subtract 8 over to get negative 4, and so y is equal to 1. Okay, so our solution, we want to write our solution as an ordered pair. And so our solution to this system is 4, 1. So what does that mean? That means if I plug 4 and 1 into both equations, then it makes both equations true. Okay, so this has one solution, and we call this an independent system. Okay, let's look at number 2. Number 2, substitution or elimination. I guess we could use substitution just for something different. Let's use elimination. I think most of you will use elimination. So if we can eliminate x's, might be a good idea. So if I take the top equation and multiply it times 4, and the bottom equation and multiply it times negative 3, then that will give me the x variables. It will get the x variables to cancel. So this gives me 12x minus 24 is equal to 48, and then negative 12x and then plus 24 is equal to negative 48. So this is an interesting thing that happens here. And so this is interesting because if I add these together, I get 0 plus 0 is equal to 0. So I get 0 is equal to 0. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means there are an infinite number of solutions. Now, in Algebra 2, you just be done, right? You just say, well, it's infinite number of solutions. Maybe sometimes you would even mistakenly say all real numbers, but it's not all real numbers because you still have to pick an x and a y that make this equation true. And this is kind of confusing, but what it means is I can pick any number for x that I want. So my solution, well, I can pick any number for x that I want. But y is got to be related to this. And so to find what your solutions for y are, you are going to solve for y. And it doesn't matter which equation you pick, but let's just pick one and solve for y. So let's take the top one. So 3x minus 6y is equal to 12. And so I'm going to subtract the 3x over, and then divide by -6. So y is equal to, we'll go ahead and write this step out, -3 over -6 x plus 12 over -6. And so we can reduce these to find that y is equal to, let's see, I ran out of room. I'll squeeze it in. I'm not going to squeeze it in. Let's move it up here. So we find y is equal to 1/2 x minus 2. Okay, so what that means is if I pick a value for x, then my y has to be this right here. And so I can say a little more than just infinite solutions. I can say, well, it'd be x and then 1/2 x minus 2. Alright, so that is the infinite number of solutions here. Here's this one solution. We call this a dependent system. Any infinite number of solution is dependent. Now, there's one more type of system. We won't work the whole thing out, but say number 3, say you got to a point where you had 0 is equal to a number, so like 0 is equal to 5. This means there is no solution. And if you get to the point where it's no solution, then we say this is inconsistent. Okay, and that's it for this video.